Hey everyone, I'm Taylor and I garden in Wisconsin Zone 4B on 27 acres. So today we're going to talk about winter sowing. I'm going to do this as a multiple part series because there's a few different things and topics in here that I think will be better suited to separate videos. So the first part is selecting your seeds for the plants that you are going to winter sow. There's a few things to consider when you're looking at what you are going to start. So the first one is that this method does work on just about anything if you have luck or if you take care of the plants with watering, make sure they don't freeze. But for me, I want this to be a simple process. I don't want to be constantly tending to these plants. So that is what I'm going to base all of this on. So the first thing that you are going to want to consider with your plants is what is fairly hardy. And that means that it's cold tolerant, that it's not going to mind maybe a light frost or freezing temperatures for a while. So these little mini greenhouses that we're going to make with winter sowing do heat up in the daytime with the sun, but they still get just as cold as it does at night. So if you select plants that are able to do that too, you won't have to worry about a freeze with them and bringing that container inside for a night. Because if you have seeds that aren't hardy, you're going to have to worry about that. All right, the second element to consider with your plants is what grows well in your local area. So the more hardy, which also goes with the first element, it's the native seeds are going to do the best in this. So things that grow well for you in your own garden are going to do well with this method. The third thing to consider is that plants that do really well with this method are the ones that want those cooler growing temperatures. So things like broccoli or there's some cut flowers that like that cold period. This method is going to help them along in that. The fourth element to selecting good seeds is selecting something that needs that cold stratification period. Something like poppies where they need that cold rest period before they're going to sprout as seeds. So if you start something like that inside, if you put it in your freezer for a few weeks, that's like a necessary step to make those seeds come alive. So things that need that cold stratification are great for this method. And the fifth and final thing to consider is things that are going to grow well where you're going to plant them in your garden. So that's sun requirements and soil requirements. So just keeping those two things in mind when you're selecting what you're going to start. Next, I'm going to go through the things that I'm considering starting winter sowing for this year. There's vegetables, there's cut flowers, and there's perennials. So we'll go through those step by step next. All right, I'm gonna start with the cut flowers. So the first one here is Bells of Ireland, and this one can be a little bit finicky. It doesn't really like to be started inside. So I did try one other time to winter sow it without success. So I'm gonna give it one more shot here. The second one is Bachelor Buttons, and this one is one of them that I've had extremely good luck with every year. They are a cool flower, so they do really well with this method. The next one is Blue Plurum, which is a new one for me this year, but it is one that is a cool flower as well, so it should do really well. The next one is Feverfew. These are a tender perennial and should do well with the little bit of cool that they are going to experience. Next up, we have Larkspur, and this is one that needs that cold stratification, so it should do really well with this because that will happen naturally, just like it does in nature. The next one is Love in a Mist. So this one I haven't done before either, but it is a cool flower, I believe, so we're going to give it a shot in this method. Next up is Orlea, And this one is a cool flower as well, so it should do just fine with this method. And next up we have Rudbeckia, and these are also tender perennials, so they should have no problem getting started early. Sage. So this one is new to me this year as well, and it is a perennial. I'm not sure if it's a perennial in zone 4, but it should do well with the winter sowing method. Next we have poppies. This has been another one that has been a huge success for me every year. This one needs that cold stratification period. I actually have more poppies. They're still in the freezer from last year. So they usually don't like getting their roots disturbed, but because you move these so early and their roots are small still, I've not had an issue with that. Then we have Scabiosa. So this is also pincushion flower. This Fama type is a perennial here. So I have both purple or deep blue and white that I'm going to be doing this year, and this should work okay for this. I am going to start some of these inside just to make sure. And next up we have sweet peas that I seed staved from last year, and I started them inside last year with good success, but they are a cool season flower, so they should have a lot of luck starting with this method. All right, we're on to our vegetables. So I picked some that were cold-loving vegetables as well, which a lot of them are the Brassica family. And I had success with doing this previous years as well. So first we have broccoli. Then we have Brussels sprouts. Cabbage, which I have not done this way, but I think that it's going to be a good method for it. Lettuce. Now this was another huge success in previous years that definitely going to do some more of that this year. I'm also going to try some kohlrabi, which is an early cold-loving crop as well. Rosemary. So rosemary is somewhat hard to start here. So I think that this is going to be a good method. I believe I got one to germinate a previous year. I did get one to direct sow start last year. So that one should be interesting to see how it does this year. And then I'm also going to try some Swiss chard, which doesn't mind the cold too much. And we'll see how that one does. Next up, we have some that I seed saved. This Baptisia came from my mom's friend's garden. So these are all perennials here and should do really well with this method, but all three of these will be my first year trying them. So I have coneflowers and corabels, which is also, I call it heuchera a lot because it's way more fun to say. So this coneflower, I had a lot of struggles last year starting it inside, so I'm going to give it a shot at winter sowing. And then the corabels, same thing. I struggled getting them to start inside. They're tiny little seeds, so I'm hoping that starting them winter sowing will have some more success. All right, next up we have two more that are seed saved Coreopsis from last year. We will see if these do well with the winter sowing method. Next up, we have daisies. I did start some of these from seed last summer and planted them out last fall. And I'm hoping that some of them make it through winter and are nice little strong plants last year. They are slow growing, so we will see how those do. But I wanted to start some more. Daisies are one of my favorite flowers. And next up is delphinium. I did have some luck with this last year. These are another one I believe that needs cold stratification, or at least you have better luck if you do that. So this method is really great for that. Foxglove. This is another perennial here, and the seeds are absolutely tiny, so I'm hoping that they don't wash away with this method. We'll see how those go this year. I haven't done those yet. But the hollyhock, this has been an excellent method to start these. One of my most successful ones in the past years. Next up, we have hyssop. This is going to be a new one for me this year. It is a perennial here, and I'm hoping that this is a successful method for that. Lupin. So this is another great one for this. These are really finicky to start with cold stratification and nicking the seeds, which none of that you need to do with the winter sowing method. So I've had great success starting quite a few lupin from this method previously. And then I have a pack of seed saved mallow. So this one also came from my mom's friend's garden, and we're going to see how that does with the winter sowing method. And to round out our perennials here, we have penstemon, which I have not tried this yet with, salvia, and 2 different varieties of yarrow. So these will all be new for me this year again, but again, they are perennials and should do pretty well with this method. So I should give an honorable mention out to onions in the winter sowing method. The first year that I did this, I had a tremendous amount of success in the milk jug with them, but then last year it wasn't as good. But I really enjoy having them inside seed starting, so I'm going to be doing mine inside this year. So those are all the seeds that I'm considering this year for winter sowing. And again, there's going to be a part 2 to this where I'll show you the vessels that I'm using, what soil, and all those good details. So look for that next. If you have any questions, you can also find Tailored Acres on Facebook and Instagram. Otherwise, take care and enjoy.